Gen V, I gotta get brutally honest about something. There's nothing special about me, and I'm earning a full-time income by working online. Literally from my phone and from my computer, from any point in the world. I went from making videos in my room to working with the leading brands of the world, such as Meta, such as Nespresso, such as CeraVe, such as Santa Monica College, JCPenney, and so much more. And I say this not to brag and be like, look how far I've come. I say this because if I can, out of anyone, if I can, trust me, so can you. And this is my whole intention with this podcast episode, to inspire you to start social media, because the opportunities that could open up is truly endless. It's absolutely abundant, whether you want to do it as a side hustle or as a full-time thing. So this episode is all about me sharing my story about how I became a full-time content creator, the highs and the lows, the peaks and the pits, I guess that'd be the right term for it, so that you can learn first off for yourself how to do this and get extremely inspired and motivated. And if you feel any sort of inspiration by the end of this, then I know that I've done my job. 3, 2, 1. Launch to success with Vera V. Hi, I'm Vera V. I'm a full-time content creator, social media coach, and a self-growth lover. And this is my podcast, Launch to Success, every Wednesday at 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you want to become your best self in 2024, then I suggest subscribing and or following me at Very Nothing and all social media platforms, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And if you're ready to finally grow your social media and take your growth and revenue to the next level, then follow me at Vera V Coach on all social media platforms as well. I also have a YouTube channel. First things first, what is it like being a content creator / influencer? So, technically, this is going to be a really interesting one, okay? All influencers are content creators, but not all content creators are influencers. There are a lot of ways to make money as a content creator. I talk about it a lot on @VeraVCoach everywhere, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. So there are a lot of different ways of income. Me, I identify more as an influencer. I really like that word too. I know some content creators hate it. They're like, I'm just a content creator. But for me, I really aspire in the influencer direction, because I think having influence on people, no matter if it's 5 people or 500,000, I think it's one of the biggest privileges probably in life. Okay. So what does it mean to be a content creator? People who are just content creators and not influencers, you can create content for brands. That's called UGC. You can create content for companies, like as a social media manager. But if you're more in the influencer side, then you are the person that brands go to recommend products to your audience, or recommend services to your audience, or even sell your own services. So as I said, there are a bunch of different ways. I'm more on the influencer side because I do have a bigger following. I have 124,000 followers on Instagram at this point. And obviously a lot of thousands on other platforms, which I feel so grateful for. Gen V, I love our community so much. And with influencing, something I do want to say is initially maybe you're attracted to it because it's like, oh my gosh, like you work from your phone, you make so much money from your phone. Oh, like I do my skincare anyway, I can recommend those products. And for sure, but once you start doing it, something I really hope happens, it absolutely did for me, is that you have this understanding of influence and truly what it means. Like you're not just creating for yourself and to show yourself. It's like, look at me, like my hair is so pretty, yours can be too. But you're creating for a message, whether it be to entertain people and make their lives a little bit happier, whether it be to educate people and provide them that value in that way. But I truly believe that as an influencer, your content goes beyond just you. For me, a lot of my content at Very Nothing, that's my self-growth, lifestyle, productivity, a little bit of business accounts. For that whole social media presence, my message is to inspire Gen V. You came up with that nickname, I did not. To inspire Gen V to become their best selves in 2024, and then in 2025, and then 2026, every single year, and reach all your goals and make the world a better place in that way. For Vera Coach, it is to educate creators, business owners, and entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, service providers, anybody, how social media works and how you can actually grow there and take your revenue to the next level via social media. Okay, and make the world better in that way, because then you get to work a job that you absolutely love and you look forward to waking up every single morning, because you don't have to work a job that you hate. That's the beauty of social media. That's why I think it's such an amazing career, because it's super creative too. So now that we got that out of the way, let's talk about the misconceptions about social media and starting. And actually, I'm making a whole separate video about how to become a full-time content creator in 2024. Maybe I'm going to title it like how to reach 10K followers. I don't really know yet, but that's going to be on the Vera V Coach account. I opened a separate YouTube channel because and obviously Vera V Coach is everywhere on all the social media platforms as well. But I just really make sure that I have the platform to fully educate on this, since this is more of a self-growth space. But with the misconceptions, the first one is that it's too late to start. Let me just tell you, with social media, it's always been too late, and it will always be too late until you start right now. The best time to start is yesterday. I really like this quote, and I think about it all the time, and it's truly the case. The best time to start is yesterday. Okay. So it'll always be too late. It's just a matter of when you actually get to it. Because if you think about it, for me, I started really popping off 2 years ago. Okay. Or actually three. It's going to be 3 years this year in April, 2021. Do you know how many people are creating in 2021 on like TikTok and all the social media platforms? It was after quarantine. Like the amount of creators was crazy, but I still started and I still stay consistent with that and I still got to where I am right now. So it'll always be too late. I think now everyone's like, oh, there's so many creators on the platform, like it's impossible to go viral. And of course, there are a lot more videos being created, but I think if you look at it in any niche over time, the percentage of people who actually succeed pretty much remains the same, except I would say maybe for content creation, because even though the projected creator economy is gonna hit, I think, $570 billion in 2025. Correct me if I'm wrong. But obviously there are a lot more people making like a full-time income there. So maybe that's a little bit different. But point is, if I can, so can you. There's still going to be creators who come up and blow up in the future years. So the too late excuse is just an excuse not to start. Okay. I had the same one, but I did it nonetheless. Two, this misconception of, oh, but growing on social media is super hard. Well, of course it is, but the same aspect of hardness applies to anything. It's like if I tell you about dropshipping, I'm like, oh, did you know that you can make $1 million with dropshipping? You'll probably go like, okay, well, dropshipping, like, what are the chances you actually make it? Well, guess what? This goes for every area of your life. Even if you want to become a surgeon, what are the chances you actually make it? It's always going to be hard. You just get to choose your hard. Do you want to choose your hard in social media and working online remotely from anywhere in the world and creating your job? Or do you want to choose your hard working for somebody else and climbing a corporate ladder? Which, by the way, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with climbing a corporate ladder. I think it's a cool thing. If that's something that resonates with you, do you want to work for somebody? Do you want to work for yourself? But the coolest thing that I was thinking about is that, truthfully, even corporate ladders, they're rooted in entrepreneurship because somebody started this company. Like, it didn't just come out of nowhere, So the corporate aspect of it and like the stability aspect of it really comes down when you're obviously like at slightly lower levels. Not to sound degrading in any way, because I mean, that's just the way it is. Okay. Now, content creation is at the forefront of digital marketing. So if you have a chance to start now, which I know for a fact that if you're watching this, you're listening to this, you do have a chance to start now, then start and run with it because it is only developing. And I actually wrote this down. The creator economy is projected to reach $500 billion by 2027. So I messed up the numbers a little bit, but $500 billion is insane. It's $500 billion. And you have this opportunity to start your social media journey now. Okay. So before you do, and before you go watch my very coach video that I've yet to create about how to start in 2024, I want to share a little bit more of my story to really show you that if I can do it, absolutely anybody can. Because when I say there's nothing special about me, once again, I'm not saying this from there's nothing special about me. I know I'm special in a lot of ways, but I wouldn't say I'm special enough to reach hundreds of thousands of people every single day, And if you have the same thoughts about yourself of like, well, I don't know if I can start, like, I don't really have anything interesting to say. Do you think I have interesting things to say? Whatever I'm saying right now, it's been said 1,000 times, but it doesn't stop me from saying it because I still have my unique take on it. And same goes for you. So my story is I started making videos on YouTube at 11. I was an extremely shy kid. I would never tell anybody about it except my family. They knew. It was this character channel called Nerd and Blonde. You can search it up. It has 127 subscribers, unless people found it. And out of those 127, 100 I'm pretty sure were bots. I bought them for free because I went to like how to buy subscribers on YouTube. Because I was making videos there for like a solid 3 years and absolutely nothing. And I was super consistent. I would script every video. I would film it. I would edit it. Like, I thought it was brilliant, but it would just never rank in SEO, like in the algorithm, nothing. I wish I knew back then what I knew now, truthfully. I wish I stumbled upon my channel because then I would have been like, okay, so this is how you actually do it. Oh my goodness. And I did so much research all the time too, like how to grow on YouTube, how to do this, how to do that. I even bought a course. And it was actually super helpful. I just don't think I was ready for that information yet. Okay. So 3 years, nothing. I stopped when I was like 14, 13 because I just kind of grew out of it. Then I started a Russian YouTube channel. This one got me closer. I'm originally from Russia, as you can hear by my accent, probably. And what was really interesting about that is a lot of Russians are always super curious about what it's like living in the US, like life in America, life in the US. Ugh. It's always a popular topic. And there are a lot of YouTubers that worked, I guess, for the Russian public, like they just made videos in Russian, who also lived in America. And I was like, okay, hold on. Like, I see an opportunity here. So I started making videos. It started blowing up a little bit. I got to 1,000, maybe 3,000 subscribers, which was a lot. Like, I've never seen those numbers on Nerd and Blondie, my first channel. Never. Okay. One video got like, I think I posted and it got like 12,000 views or 8,000 views. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm popular. Like, people actually started interacting with me. They started watching my videos. Like, it was super cool. I've never experienced such like a community building thing on YouTube. And it was like, wow, you know. But then I started realizing after about 6 months to a year, I think, of doing it, I was like, I don't really want to work for the Russian speakers only. I want to make videos in English because then it just reaches a wider audience. But in my mind, in my little immigrant mind, because I mean, I moved here when I was like 9 years old, 10. My immigrant mind, I was like, well, there's just so much more competition in English. Like, who's actually going to watch me? You know, but I gave myself a chance. So I made another YouTube channel. I think that's my third. It's the one I'm currently posting on. So feel free to watch my videos. And I started just vlogging my life, like high school this, high school that. And what was crazy about it is I would spend 5 hours every single day working on my YouTube channel. 5 hours. And mind you, I was an academic weapon. Okay, academic weapon. I've been taking college classes since I was in 8th grade, which I was like, what, 13, 14 years old. I've been doing that. I technically have enough college credits for the first like 2 years of college. I just never went there full time because just didn't align with my career path. But we'll get into that. The point is, I've been doing that, and I was taking like 10 classes, I think, total, and the regular is 6. And it was like extremely intense, and it was crazy. And this is when I became chronically sleep deprived, because getting like 5 hours for me was like the standard. I was like, oh my gosh, if I got 7 hours, I was like, oh, like I fully slept. And I remember when I first started not sleeping as much because I was just editing videos all night and all day after school, and when I had homework, and I was like a very good student, like 4.0 GPA, that's what we're talking about, because nothing else excited me. Always been this way. Anyway, and I remember I was like, okay, I should just start sleeping like 6 hours just so I have, more time to do it. And I remember coming into math class on 6 hours of sleep, like my head is like pounding, it's hurting. And I remember telling my parents, I was like, you know what, guys, like, it's not that bad. I wish they told me, like, Vera, you should sleep. I guess they did. I just didn't listen. But I was like, yeah, 6 hours is fine. Like, I feel pretty recharged. I did not feel recharged. But that went on for my whole high school career, pretty much, until this is where it gets exciting. Junior year of my high school, that was 2021, I started blowing up and popping off, because I started making videos about self-improvement. But before that, actually, when we rewind a little bit, 2020 December, I have notes. Okay, I wrote this down. And with that, by the way, that American like high school channel, it was like, okay, one video got like 12,000 views and another got like 18,000 views, but it wasn't like I was like popping off. I don't know. I just felt like I was putting in a lot of effort and I was not seeing any return on my investment of effort, which was a little bit sad, and it kind of broke my heart a little bit. But I was like, you know what? Like, it's okay. Because with those first 2 channels, I really learned how to edit and create content. Like, I've been doing this for so much of my life. It just comes innately, and I love social media so much. So I was like, you know what? No effort is wasted effort. But obviously, it was still like a little sad. And that's the time when I started really wanting to become an independent singer-songwriter. Once I graduated high school, I was like, this is my career path. Like, I want to be a singer. Everybody in my class knew. And mind you, I was still a shy kid. Like, I still didn't go around being like, yeah, like, I'm gonna be famous. But people would always ask, like, what do you want to do? And I was like, when I would man up and I would go, okay, I want to be an independent singer-songwriter. And I would tell them that. So really exciting. I'm working on my second song currently. So I guess things do come full circle. Anyway, how cool is that? I guess you're the first to hear on the podcast because I have not told this to anybody else. But I decided that 2020 December would be my social media grind month, which would mean that I would post on TikTok, so short form, and Instagram Reels every single day. Was I absolutely scared? Pardon, shitless? Yes. Why? Because people followed me from school. TikTok, not so much, but Instagram, yeah. But still, every single day I worked on my short form content, and I was still making long form content at the time, because it was, content creation to me was a hobby. It just really grew out of that. But I was still making short form content. And that's actually when I grew to 10K followers on TikTok. And I've never really shared this anywhere because I have a separate account that's not at 10K yet, which is really ironic, isn't it? But for that one, it was super focused on like songs and music and being a singer-songwriter, like making it independently. And so people followed me and they were actually super excited for my journey. And a lot of, probably you watching this right now, you know me from those days. My account was called 06.29.25.2029, because that's when I wanted to host the biggest concert in the history of concerts. So my goals have changed. My desire has to. But yeah, that's how I started on TikTok. And I saw that growing and I was like, okay, cool. Some reels on Instagram would also, like, I still made my Instagram the same way that the TikTok thing was, about becoming an independent singer-songwriter. And one reel got like 350,000 views and I was like, okay, I'm popping off. Another one got 30,000. I was like, okay, social media. I remember having this conversation with my older sister and my dad. And I was in the kitchen. I was like, guys, like, it's not that hard. You just gotta, put your back into it. Like, I'm just consistent with it. It's not that hard. And my sister, Alexandra, she started making videos at that time. She's a relationship coach now who's like super successful, doing super good. And she was in my social media mentorship, which is very interesting. But I remember in the kitchen that talk, and she started making content too, like little trends here and there, and she started like blowing up a little bit. And I was like, "See, I told you it's not that hard." She wouldn't get any followers from it because I mean the strategy was off. Now that I think about it, but the fact is it was working. It was working. Okay. So that was my social media grind month. It opened up a lot of doors for me. And then 4 months later, in April 2021, I started making videos about self-improvement. In February, actually, so 2 months after, I made a video about how I felt all my days blending into one. So I decided to go for a 5 a.m. run. And back then there was not a lot of self-improvement content. Instagram Reels was truly just TikToks like recycled. Okay. So I was ahead of the trend of that one. And I will give credit to my mom because she told me to post Instagram Reels. And I was like, no, mom, like I'm just gonna do TikTok. But she told me Instagram Reels, and now here we are. Instagram is my biggest platform. So listen to your mother. Listen to your mother always. That's the lesson I learned. And that video got over 1 million views. I think I had like 6,000 followers on Instagram from that, and I was like, oh my gosh, wow. And then April, I made 2 self-improvement videos back to back about like reaching my fullest potential and really being passionate about that. And that got me over, I think, 18,000 followers. Like I just kind of woke up and I had 18,000. I was like, whoa, because those videos got millions of views. And mind you, self-improvement niche was not as explored as it is right now. There were not that many self-improvement creators. So I was kind of like at the forefront in it, not to toot my own horn, just based from what I noticed. Maybe they're already there, but I just did not see it at all. So videos started taking off. And then summer, I launched my own digital self-improvement store, growingtogether.store. It's still live. You can still purchase from it with planners, like habits checklist. And I actually made like a good amount of money from that. Cause I mean, I didn't really know how to like be an entrepreneur in the digital space just yet. So that was definitely a first. But I think that was a success story for my 17-year-old self. And then I hit 100,000 followers. I kept posting, obviously, consistently. I was not like, I was doing some brand deals here and there when brands would approach me, but I just really did not know how it worked. And I didn't really have the urgency because I was still in high school. So like I knew that I wanted to be an independent singer-songwriter, and it's like I was working towards that and building my platform towards that. But at the same time, there was no urgency for me to start making money ASAP. So I didn't really take a lot of the opportunities, which now that I think about it, I'm like, Vera, you really should have. But everything comes in its own time, you know? Because I mean, as soon as I graduated high school, like things really changed. So I'll tell you about that. But anyway, I hit 100,000 followers on, I think it was July 2022. So this summer, it's going to be 2 years since that happened, which is amazing. Now I'm at 124. And I was at the biggest plateau for followers for about 1.5 years. Also, if you hear anything in the background, it's the birds. So yeah, little pet birds. So the biggest plateau. And then also that summer, I started my coaching business. I became certified as a life coach in spring 2022 after graduating high school early in January. And I was like, okay, like life coaching is the way to go. So I launched a life coaching business. I did one-on-one sessions. I did product launches of like course about how to stop procrastinating, and you can still purchase all that. Those are like truly amazing products. But then at the same time, I also started social media coaching. I just didn't really talk about it as much. It was more of like low key, like I do social media coaching. Like now, obviously, I have a whole separate account for that, because it's like a whole separate social media presence of mine that's a lot more detailed and that actually provides like very good value. But then it's just doing it with long-term clients. But then I finally, to finalize my little story recap, I started monetizing my content with brand deals in 2023. So last year, that's when I really started making a full-time income from it. And this is going to be really good because I want to get into the 5 mistakes I made that I do not want you to make on social media. Okay, but I used to think this was one of the mistakes, that followers equals money. I really thought that once I hit 100K, brand deals would just start pouring in. They did not. They did not. Okay, I thought they would. They do not. That's not how it works. Monetizing on social media is a whole separate skill from growing, because you have to, especially if you go the influencing route of brand deals, you have to teach your audience to trust you with product recommendations, but also obviously to reach out and find those brands and get them to message you or you message them. So it's a whole other thing. And I'll get into them. So now, where am I now? That you've heard of my whole social media story is obviously I am a full-time content creator. What does that mean? I have full-time brand deals. I like calling that I just invented, sorry, stumbling all over my words, invented that little term, is I just get brand deals that pay for my life full-time. I'm completely self-sufficient. Regarding my living situation, I live with my family currently, but Like I pay my share of the rent and everything. Like I'm fully self-sufficient. I like helping out my family that way, but like fully. Okay, if I wanted to move out today, I could. And that's what I think is the coolest thing about social media, because it really provides that self-sufficiency for you, that financial freedom, because you can kind of do anything. And it's really nice knowing that you are able to support your life doing something that you love versus sitting in a cubicle where just life feels depressing. And once again, if that excites you, nothing wrong with that. I think it's the coolest thing. If I was not in social media, I don't know if I would be into music actually. Like if my parents, because my parents are both freelancers, they always have been, like a bunch of businesses, some successful, some failed. But I guess because I was thinking about it, how did I want to become an entrepreneur? Because I remember in fifth grade, I had a best friend, Yuki. She was from Japan. And that's when I just came out of the English learners class. So my English was not great because obviously I moved here when I was in fourth grade. I keep saying obviously, like, but now you do. So I guess it's obvious to you now. But she asked me, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I said, oh, an entrepreneur. And I didn't really know what that meant, but I just remember saying it. I thought an entrepreneur, because I wanted to be a professional tennis player. Whoa, yeah, a lot of things happening. So I thought tennis player was an entrepreneur because I mean you kind of work for yourself. And now that I think about it, I think I got the whole idea from my parents because they've always been freelancers. Like they've always worked for themselves. My mom has. I actually know. I mean, they did have their corporate careers like in the beginning, but from my conscious young adult life, they've always worked for themselves, especially after we moved here, So I think that's where I got it from. So I have full-time brand deals that support my life. I also have social media coaching, obviously, which I make a good amount of revenue from, which is amazing. I love social media coaching. I love brand deals as well. I love the brands I work with. I'm very selective when it comes to that, obviously. I have two social media platforms, at Very Nothing and at Very Coach, on all social media platforms. It's like two social media presences. Do you feel transparent? Because maybe you're like, oh, look, you have it all together. I do in some ways, but a lot of ways I really don't. I'm working on it. For Vera Coach, I opened this as a social media presence fairly recently. I started posting about it very recently. Obviously, I've been working with clients for a while now, but I just really want to share that knowledge. And I mean, it is for free. And also for business, it's smart because when you're posting on social media as a business owner or an entrepreneur, it's free marketing for you. So I recommend jumping on that train if you need any help. And if you want to take your social media to the next level, then reach out to me. Link is in the description, okay, of my website. Let's talk there. Anyway, so that's where I am right now. And regarding how to get started, just check at Vera Coach. On any social media platform of your choosing, I have information there, okay? Go there, get some free resources. All the content I post there is for free, obviously. Hop on that train and then click on my website and let's chat there and see what I offer and see how we can work together. Now, what are the 5 mistakes I made? These mistakes were horrible. Do not recommend to anybody to make them. So this is the more informational part of this podcast. The whole informational educational video about how to become a full-time content creator, I'm posting on at Vera Coach on YouTube, and obviously I'll have like little short cutouts on other social media platforms. First mistake is that thinking all my content has to be original. If you are the type of person who's like, okay, but maybe you already started posting content, maybe you're thinking about starting, you're like, okay, well, how can I come up with like original content consistently? Because you think that there's no way that you can actually do that. You can repurpose your content. And not only do you repurpose your content, but also if you see, for example, a video that you really like, recreate it. There's no content on social media that's ever original, because we get ideas almost cyclically. I see your video, I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool. Even if I don't replicate that video or recreate it, it still gave me an idea. And still one of the videos I create is going to be at least somewhat like the video that you created. Nothing is truly original. Get over it. It's completely okay. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. So work smarter, not harder. That's why I started looking at social media. At first, I was extremely adamant from what my mom tells me, extremely adamant about my content being original and just posting only original content. Because my mom, she would tell me, she was like, Vera, like, this is doing well, just do this again. I was like, no, mom, my content is original. My content does not repeat. And then it happened when I started really monetizing this, because I mean, growth versus monetization, it goes hand in hand, but it's still slightly different. I was like, why work harder when I can just work smarter? So if a video does well now, I just either recreate it, or if some time has passed, I just repost it to make my life easier. Okay. So that's the first lesson. The second lesson is this, the biggest one, is that thinking that followers equals money. You can have 1 million followers, but I know creators who have, unfortunately, over 500,000 followers, which is more than I have, and they're not making zilch from the social media. They're making nothing. because monetizing is a separate skill. This is what I wish I had. I wish when I was first starting out and I was ready to receive the information, I wish I had a social media mentor and coach such as myself to help me out. Even if I didn't work with them like personally in a social media mentorship like Creator Camp or join any of their courses, at least I would still have that free information. But I just really didn't really have that person that I look to professionally. Now I do. I follow a bunch of like Instagram coaches. Maybe I'll be working with like one in the future to really take my content to the next level. I just really haven't found the person who I aspire to who does that yet, but who knows in the future. But it's such an amazing shortcut to have a coach and a mentor who has done what you want to do, who lives the kind of lifestyle that you want to live, because you're saving yourself hundreds of hours, okay, and a lot of money as well. Because you can keep watching the Instagram coaches being like, do this trick, do this reel. You can watch all my videos like, do this, do this, do this. But when you're working with somebody one-on-one, or even in a group format, but when you're like really working with somebody because they have a program, I know I do as a social media coach, then it's just so much more focused and so much more structured. So if you're ready to take your social media to the next level, link this in the description, okay? Because that way you're actually going to see a result versus just having like a bunch of good advice from everywhere. You have a specific strategy that's going to help you reach your goals one by one by one by one with the person who has already done it. Save your time, save your money, and click the link in the description. I'm really plugging my website here because I created it and I think it's really cool. Third mistake is that I would really overthink instead of just posting, which is not a good thing to do. Do not recommend that at all. But if you have an idea, just do it. My most viral content, the content that even not viral, I would say the content that brought me in the most followers, just not necessarily correlated to solely viral content. That's the kind of content I did not think about twice. I just got an idea. I align with this philosophy. Think, feel, do. You have an idea, you feel it is right, you feel it's aligned to your goal, then you just do it. On social media, there's really no time or space to think. You don't have the time or space to be like, yeah, I guess maybe I will. I guess maybe I won't. Just do it. Nobody cares, including yourself. Okay, just do it. Just put it out there. And if you're ever like, oh, well, what if people don't see it, blah, blah, blah. People will. The people that need to see your content always will. This is something that really got me through those tough social media times. Even now, when, for example, analytics drop a little bit, it always happens. I'm like, nobody's watching my content, nobody cares. But I'm always telling myself, people that need to see it will see it. It will always reach the kind of people that needs to see it. And here's the thing, in order for you to make a lot of money on social media or grow your followers by a lot, you do not need a lot of people to see it. You just need the right kind of people to see it. Some of the videos I've posted, they do not have 1 million views, but they have such good conversion, or people follow me from that because I created the video for that specific audience, you know? Or I was also talking to a friend yesterday, Madeline. We have a podcast coming out soon. I recorded for my Life Success. We were talking about how she started her career as a social media manager, and her first ever thing that kind of set her on the path was an inbound, which means they reached out to her from the content that they've seen from her. Was she making social media management content at the time? No, but her content still got seen. One of the brands that actually reached out to her to work with her recently, it was like from some TikTok that had not even that many views, but the right people saw it. So, pardon. So create, believe in your mission, believe in your message, and just create, just get it out there. Do not overthink it, just post it. Because it's whatever's on the internet, of course it's going to live there forever. But if you know that you're not doing anything weird, you're not really losing anything. You're not really missing out on anything. Fourth is my biggest mistake was wanting to be perceived a certain way. That's so stupid. I wanted to be perceived as like this productive, motivational girl who only like thinks about this and well, it's so dumb. And when I really left it, that's when I got out of my growth follower plateau. I want to make a whole post about this on @VeraVCoach, why you're in a growth follower plateau. I think it's such a good topic that everybody needs to know. But I just want to be perceived in a specific way. And once I let go of that, and I was just like, you know what? People can perceive me the way that they want to perceive me. I don't really care. I am the way that I am. I create the content that I create. I do not need to do anything in particular to be liked, whatever. Because truthfully, you're never going to have an impact if you're just copying other people. You're never going to have an impact if you're just doing what you think is the right thing to do. You're only going to have a true impact, whether it be in social media or any creative pursuit that you have, when you do the things that resonate with you, that comes straight from your heart, okay? Heart, mind, soul, whatever you want to call it. But when it's your original idea, no idea is truly original, but the way that you do it will always be original to you. We could I have my matcha, have a drink here. I could be like, hey, film like a fun video with a matcha. I could give that to you, I could give that to myself, I could give that to my neighbor. It's going to be 3 separate videos. And that's the coolest thing about social media. It's the absolute coolest. Anyway, so yeah, with perception now, I'm still working on it, honestly, because I used to care a lot about what people would think of me, but now I don't really care. It's like I've developed a sort of detachment from perception in a way where you can perceive me the way that you want to. Like maybe a lot of people actually, some they look at me, they're like, oh, she's just some spoiled rich girl, but they don't know anything about me, my parents, like how our dynamic is. They don't really know anything about my upbringing. So what does it matter? Whatever people think about you, they're not really thinking about you. They're only thinking about themselves. That's the truth of the matter, because it has nothing to do with you. It's not personal at all. So with perception, I really let go of that. Still working on it, of course, but I don't really care. And when you don't really care, that allows room and space for so much growth. Because if you care about what people think of you, it's like you're holding on to this specific version of yourself, and only a set amount of people can see that specific version. Versus if you just let go and you let things flow and you just let yourself be, then that opens up the net for so many more people to find you. I'm popular. I'm getting messages. Okay, let me turn on my do not disturb real quick. Okay, now fifth mistake is that this is the biggest one I made, especially when I was first starting out, is I was looking at views and likes and comments and those external factors as a success metric. And that is the biggest mistake you can make. I was talking to a content creation coach on my podcast. That episode's also gonna come out soon. Maybe it has, with Maureen. She's amazing. She's such like a firecracker. I love her. She was saying how she tells all her clients that views, likes, and comments are just all a vanity metric. And at first I was like, that's interesting, I guess, to some extent. Because I'm a very data-based girl, okay? I look at social media like science, data, hypotheses. I implement all of that. I test out different strategies. It's my hypothesis. If it's proven, then it becomes a theory, and I test it on my clients, and it works, and I'm like, okay, cool. I really approach it with a science-like mindset. So maybe if I wasn't a content creator, maybe I would be a scientist. Who knows? I feel like there's the same level of creativity, if not more, in content creation than there is in science. Maybe that sounded crazy. I don't know. I hope you understand what I mean. But she was saying how she tells all her clients that those kinds of things are just a vanity metric. And truthfully, they are. Because impact is not measured by likes or views or comments or even follows. It's not measured that way. You cannot assign a value to impact. Because some videos I have seen, I don't even know how many views they have, but they stuck with me forever. Some videos I see, they have like 100 views, but I'm like, this changed my life. This is the coolest video ever. And I go on to repost it or to share it or whatever. So you cannot measure impact with numbers. That's just not the way that it works. And you cannot look at those numbers as a success metric. You just cannot do that, okay? Because you're going to burn out so quick. One video is going to do well, and then the next one after that is not going to, and you're going to burn out because you're going to be like, oh, well, I guess I should just quit, throw in the towel. A really good perspective that I really like, and I've implemented this for myself, and I'm really working on it on the business end of things, like really make sure I see that in business, is the perspective of longevity. Instead of thinking like, how can I do this as fast as I can? I know that I'm going to reach all my goals and become my most successful self and the most successful I can be in my chosen field, because I'll quite simply outlive everybody. And I don't mean like they're going to die before I do. I want to live to 111, so I guess maybe. But I just mean in a sense where I'm going to be in the business the longest. That's what I want for myself. In content creation, I'm going to be there the longest. I want to hit like 40 years. Be like, yeah, I was a content creator for like 40 years. I want to do that. And that's how I know I'm going to be successful. Because if you think about it, if you try that hard for that such a long amount of time, there's no way you're going to fail. Like there's no way that I'm going to fail. If I'm going to be doing this for like my life, how am I going to fail? I have endless opportunities every day to succeed. And if you multiply that by 100 years, or yes, if I live to 119, if you multiply that for 100 years, then one's bound to click, So that's the most sustainable mindset. You can measure your success on social media by how consistent you are, by how much you like what you do, by how much you challenge yourself, by how much your confidence grows, and obviously look at those vanity metrics as proof for your social media strategies. If you want to take the weight off completely, then just come work with me. Okay, I know how. We will get you there. We will help you reach your goals together, and that way you don't have to worry about that at all. I'll just be, talking about that. But yeah, you can just look at that as a sole success for your metric. Anyway, so I'm going to be making that video on @VeraVCoach on YouTube, and obviously you'll see cutouts everywhere. Just so you know, you're clear on that, but I'm really excited. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope this inspired you. Let me know in the comments what your biggest takeaway was. What's the top one thing that you learned from this podcast episode, from this video? Let me know, leave that on there, and I'll be sure to share, because I think the most important part of the learning process is reflection. I hope right now you're feeling inside yourself like a lot of fire. You're like, okay, you know what? Like I can do this. I can do this. And if within yourself, this is actually the coolest one. If within yourself you're like, no, like no way, or like even you're like, she's so annoying, like she's so cringy, like you feel some sort of like almost anger. Okay, take it and run with it. This is, I would say, even more powerful than having that internal motivation, because the things that you so deeply reject are the things that you actually want to do, but you just will not allow yourself to do. Okay, so if at any point you've ever seen me, for example, or any content creator, and just be like you just feel like this annoyance, then you know that content creation is for you. Okay, lean into that fear. Trust me. Maybe you don't like me. I don't know. I don't care. Sorry, but truthfully, I don't care. Maybe you don't like me, but lean into that fear, because that's going to take you so much farther. Lean into whatever scares you, whatever you're like. Just lean into that. Okay, and for any questions, feel free to DM me, email me, like we will talk. I'm always here for you. And once again, if you're ready to take your social media growth and revenue to the next level, then reach out to me via my website. You can also DM me on Instagram, and we'll talk about your goals and we'll get working right away. All right. Otherwise, new podcast episodes come out every Wednesday at 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and I'll see you soon. Bye. Thank you for watching. Let me know your biggest insight in the comments. 3, 2, 1. Launch to success with Vera. V.